Hi, Marilena. Welcome. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Launika, Yoli, Laura. So wonderful to see you. I am having a hard time finding the actual live stream. Here it is. Okay, got it. I got it. Here we go. Okay, now we're in business. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, and thank you so much for joining me again today. We are pursuing our Life Force Cultivation Challenge. And allow me a moment to share. If you also find value in these amazing lives, please go ahead and share them. I try to include as much information as possible to help you focus on the topics that we are trying to master at the time. Okay. Thank you, Laura, Lonika, Yoli, Marilena. Missed you. It's great to see you again. Okay. So today we're going to talk a little bit about life force cultivation. And I don't know if anybody was with me yesterday, but we did talk about one topic that we wanted to discuss today. And I mentioned we were going to discuss today, but I can't remember what that was because today's energies took in a different direction. The clients that I was working with today and the themes that came up were about something completely different from what we talked about yesterday. And so, well, it's related, but so I'd love to focus on that. And I promise that we will address whatever it is that we were supposed to address yesterday that I said I was going to do today. We're going to address that tomorrow. Because as you know, this work that I'm sharing with you, um, it's definitely inspired by the energies, the universal energies that are occurring at this current time to help support you. And there is a certain intuitive element to that. And it's almost as like an emotional climate that people are going through certain waves of ascension. And those waves of ascension tend to have certain themes, energetic themes. People are clearing things that need to be cleared, and astrologically, energetically, solar influence wise, the earth, and collectively we're kind of moving through these certain energies that open up very specific opportunities. So today I got some questions about neutrality. What does it mean to actually be neutral? What does it mean to actually come into the 0 point? And why is it so difficult to embody that state of neutrality? Um, and I want to invite you to understand that spiritual work and the work that you and I are doing here it's very much a physical, it is also a biological, and it's also a psychological, it's a psychological system that you are learning. So there's many layers to it, but it's important to understand that for this kind of spiritual work that you and I are trying to do here together, it requires a deep reconnection with the physical body, and it requires you to be very aware of yourself and to have a certain thirst of learning who you are. This work that we're doing is not for the person that wants instant gratification. It's not for the person that wants an easy fix or easy spirituality. This is the real deep work of getting and digging into the sublayers of your subconscious mind in a way so that you can understand yourself and what you're trying to co-create in this reality, and understanding what are the external influences that either sustain you in certain patterns of behavior and block and limit you from seeing yourself as what you really are, as the whole self. Because as I explained yesterday, blockages and limitations are self-created. And they're self-created as a result of blockages and programs that are passed down through generations. And we learn them and we make them our own. From childhood until adulthood, we identify deeply with those things that we learned external to us, and we store them in our toolbox, our survival toolbox, because then everything becomes a survival, and we want to apply what we learned in the best way possible. So this work that we're doing, we have to look at all these different parts because, you know, things are changing in this universe in a way where things are becoming very physical, very manifested. And it's psychological, and it's also part of the co-creative nature of evolution, which means that, you know, we are resonance to those things that trigger us. And the idea is to become aware of the triggers before they cause chaos in the body, or a physical reaction, a psychological reaction, where because we lack the self-learning, we trap ourselves in repetitive cycles of suffering. Okay. So we really want to kind of understand that and begin to practice that level of awareness. When we talk about neutrality, when we talk about coming into this 0 point or this state of observation, it's really a sense of understanding, what does it mean to be neutral? What does it mean to release and let go of these programs? Actually, it doesn't mean that you're emptying yourself and becoming nothing, or, you know, in a sense, people are very scared to let go of identities and even their suffering, because we identify so much with that. And it literally becomes a protective shield. And even if we are suffering, we don't realize that being in a constant state of victimization is actually a cage. It's a cage that we create for ourselves. And being able to look above that and look down at yourself and the cage that you created for yourself is actually one of the most important things in the process of letting go of belief systems and you know, programs that are essentially building and reinforcing that cage and the bars of that cage. So what we want to do is, the more we let go of those belief systems and the adopted survival mechanisms that we use as masks to hide the authentic self that is afraid of coming to its full authenticity, in order to see itself as it truly is and to be seen by others as it truly is. That's often a very vulnerable state, seemingly a very vulnerable state, but it's actually in that vulnerability that the human has the greatest power. And it's in the letting go of those softwares and ideas and you know, programs, as we were talking earlier today with a friend of mine. These implementations of belief systems, you know, we are actually going from tiny to giant. That's actually the thing that we don't understand. We think that when we let go of things, we are in the fear of annihilating ourselves. And in this world, because everything is so compartmentalized, having a personality is important, right? That's been made, and it's been weaponized. The idea of having a personality has been weaponized against us, because we work so hard to have a persona, an idea, and an identification. We want to have definitions. We want specific names. We want to be identified in a certain way. And as long as we continue to hold on to very strict identities and personalities, we are narrowing our perspective of the world outside of us, and we are narrowing our potential, because actually the human has infinite potential, and the human is everything, everything, all and nothing simultaneously. And it's when the human matures enough in order to really integrate that as a truth, for them to become free. Because what happens when you let go of these limiting belief systems, what happens when you start to release all of these blockages and the cage that you build around you, most humans find themselves in a vulnerable state, because they don't know how to operate in this world as something other than, let's say, a victim, or someone that has been harmed, or someone that is not in control of themselves. This work does require you to take control of yourself. It requires you to come into very raw truths, uncomfortable truths about yourself, that most people want to run away from, or they avoid in every possible way by externalizing their control and their power. So this is where the human is learning love, because love is the unifying force that is aware of all the parts of a human and accepts it as its whole self, as its full expression. The other element of this is understanding that um, the things that we judge of ourselves and the parts of us that we're trying so desperately to preserve and to control and to hold on to, um, these are essentially they are part of this survival mechanism of suffering and pain. And there is very much a biochemical addiction to that. We become addicted to these constant states of survival, and we become addicted to states of victimization. But the human is now being invited to mature, to step up the plate into taking full responsibility for the cause and effect of their actions and their beliefs. And I think that's the other element of this evolutionary process, that as humans, it's very hard for us to take responsibility for cause and effect, because it's so much easier to identify with the victimization of your state, as opposed to taking responsibility for the role that we play. And the most of people that hear this, they ask me, well, what if you're a child and you're at the mercy of a parent? So remember that, first of all, there are deeper layers to the learning evolutionary process, which are the contractual agreements that we made as humans to experience very specific things for the evolution of ourselves. And so many humans want to resist that process. They want to deny that is part of this interaction with humans and places and things. And this is something that really is impacting the maturity, the spiritual maturity of the human. So the other part is, do you understand what cause and effect is? Cause and effect is the ability to really understand that everything is happening as a result of something else. And we have to take a look at our own suffering that we have endured, and to understand those that have harmed us, what is the cause and effect in their dynamic, in their existence, in their experience, that has caused them to create these harmful things towards us. And many people don't want to accept this as something that's true. So we have to begin to look at things a little bit differently, okay? And this work, it's not easy, but once you understand that because of cause and effect, it's a product of the experience that you're having, we begin to move away from that identity of being a victim into an understanding of a participant, of a co-creation. And that's really where healing occurs. The entire purpose of DNA reprogramming is to take a look at those exact cause and effect roles in your life and in your ancestral lineage, to observe how it's passed down to the generations, how you are holding on to some of those programs, and how are you contributing to your suffering. Okay, because a lot of the times we contribute to our suffering more than other more than existing. I mean, most of the pain that we feel is memories of the past. It's not even this present moment. So that being said, let's get into it. Let's talk a little bit about the cause and effect dynamics of being in a state of empowerment. Let me open my presentation here, and then we're going to jump into the meditation, because today what I want you to work on is exactly this, releasing. Okay. So let me go ahead and open this. Okay. So first of all, let's talk about the element of addiction. Um, and and again, to break these habits, we have to overcome the addictions that we have created in order to have instant gratification. One of the biggest blockages in being able to overcome burdens, pains, and sufferings in life is that we are holding on to the idea that, we have to immediately eliminate that pain out of the body. And yesterday we were talking about how people hold pain in the body, which then results in aches and pains and, severe imbalances in the organism. So the thing is that we have to kind of break that addiction to the comfort zone of your suffering. We exist in a state of comfort in our suffering, and we don't even realize that until we begin to really be honest with ourselves. Okay. And this kind of honesty is one of the most freeing, healing parts of spiritual evolution. This kind of honesty, this kind of truth is also the alchemical transduction force that alchemizes a lower state of frequency into a higher. So the act of seeing things from the highest perspective of truth will help you alchemize the thought forms, the pain, and the suffering. And this is how the resistance of these experiences, of these thoughts, are actually what cause stagnation inside of the organism. Okay, so all of these emotions and thought forms that are essentially creating this cage-like restriction from your ability to manifest, your ability to create, it becomes a psychological dependence. So that's why for many people, healing feels nearly impossible. How do we support this? Is that you have to reinforce. So remember, when you become aware of a certain blockage in your life, okay, let's say you become aware, my blockage is that I am in a state of depression and I feel like I cannot create, I feel that I cannot manifest anything. Okay, that immediate program, if we begin to uncover the layers of through the emotional body, you begin to release emotions. As we talked about yesterday, there's different ways of releasing the emotion, but the easiest is to feel in the body what parts of your body you're storing that emotion. And also, as a result of that feeling the emotion in the body, you begin to become aware of a more broader perspective of the experience that you had that created the trauma in you. The emotions are multi-layered. There's primary, tertiary, secondary, and tertiary emotions. As we get down to the tertiary emotion, you begin to understand how you took on and stored the emotion to begin with. So whatever you're feeling right now, it's only the effect, the result of many layers of other causes. So we need to identify the causes first. And it's through the emotional body that you discover the causes of your stagnation, your emotional stagnation. As you uncover those emotions, what's going to happen is that because emotional memory is an entire network connected to your DNA epigenetically and also to the morphogenetic field as it stores the data of your body over time, you begin to understand and pull from the memories, and the memories will come up. The emotions will trigger the memories. Those emotional triggers those memories that begin to come out of the body are going to give you flashes of events, experiences that you have had that are still unresolved versions of yourself. So what I do in this case, when I'm working on this on myself and when I'm working with other clients, I have a notebook next to me that I begin to jot down the emotions. Okay, so let's say in this example, we started with a person with depression. They begin to feel the depression in their chest. The chest is so heavy, they feel they cannot love ever again. They feel they can never be worthy. They feel that they cannot ever feel joy again. Okay, many layers of emotions. And as they sit with the depression, they begin to uncover a profound amount of grief, of sorrow, shame, self-judgment, self-pity, self-rejection. Okay, so as you go down those layers, you're going to jot them down in your notebook. And you're also next to those emotions, you're going to notice what part of your body is tensing up or calls your attention as you feel the emotion. So in this example, in the lungs, this human is storing powerful amounts of sadness and grief. And this goes into the somatic psychology of how we store emotions in the body, which are then processed through the chakra system. Each one of the chakras that are connected to these organs that process the emotional bioelectrical charges in the body, which trigger the biochemical charges in the body, are affecting these parts of the body. And so many people, let's say in this case, this person, because they're in depression, it triggers a severe lung infection or lung respiratory complication. So it creates a stagnation in the body. It's a severing of the source. If you begin to observe how source energy is moving through their body, you begin to discover that it doesn't get past this part of the body here. It's blocked. And what begins to happen in the lower energy centers is that they begin to paralyze and stagnate because this block blocks the circular flow of energy in the body. Remember that the energy in the body, it's like a spiral. That's not a very good spiral, but please imagine that this is a well-drawn spiral to indicate how energy is moving through the body, because the body functions in a toroidal motion. Okay, the toroidal motion, that life force irrigates through the crown of the head, down the center core of the body, in through the main nervous system, through the vagus nerve, down through the perineum and down to the center of the earth, that connects this vessel into its larger communicating system of the planet Earth. It blocks the flow of source into the body. So as this block occurs, what happens to the energies in the lower body is that they begin to become repetitive. What's happening in the brain of this individual? That this brain of this individual is firing a very specific neural pathway that is only repeating the programs of grief and sadness, sorrow, helplessness, all the emotions we talked about. This is what they're reinforcing. The reinforcement of that neural pathway stagnates and blocks, like a traffic jam, the way that energy moves into the rest of the body. So what happens is that the repetitive motion of this repetitive neural pathway, which is the belief of grief and sorrow, begins to stagnate and store very slow moving frequencies inside the lower chakras. So the lower chakras then become stagnant, sluggish, slow, which then severs the vision, the ability for this individual to see truth. All that he can see is this belief system. And it becomes such a powerful filter of belief that he begins to build an entire identity around it, because the belief is so strong that it becomes a reality to which they have to respond to. And they see this reality in the people that they interact with, in the places that they go, in the way that they handle their career, in the way that they handle their emotions, in the way that they handle truth. As you can see, that's a very narrow way of seeing. Meantime, this organism is infinite potential. So as the body essentially is processing energy in the body, what is really important is the reconnection of the upper and the lower dantian with an S, because there are three main dantian centers in the body. The severing and the reinforcement of false belief systems or limiting belief systems severs the connection between these systems, and we do it with blockages. So in this case, the human has to release these blockages from the body, regulating the nervous system, which means that you are reconnecting the systems of communication of your higher self with the physical self, with the emotional self, with the psychological self. There is a severing and a disconnect of all your parts. That's what it means to become fragmented. The fragmentation of the body, the fragmentation of the mind, the fragmentation of all your parts. What has to happen for this human to come back to the 0 point? They have to let go. They have to release. They have to deconstruct all of these false limiting belief systems to become all and nothing simultaneously. Many people, we talk about coming to the 0 point. They're like, well, what is the 0 point? It sounds really calm and peaceful. Is it just that we have to be in a state of bliss? No. Is it just that we have to be happy all the time? No, absolutely not. What actually that is recognizing and reconnecting all these centers for you to be able to see yourself as all and nothing simultaneously. You are everything. Healing means that you remember yourself as everything. Illness, sickness, depression, pain, and suffering means that you're only seeing yourself as one thing or maybe a couple things. It's a very small way of existing. You are not reaching your potential. Your body is ill. You're not able to manifest. So what has to happen to this human? He has to wake up consciousness to see truth. This is why all the greatest sages in history talked about recovering the memory of the ancestors. You begin to open up your eyes, lift your gaze from looking down in a state of helplessness and disconnect into a state of awareness. Most people are afraid of truth. Please understand, truth is your freedom. Truth is the freedom from all your suffering. And we have to be able to cultivate gray matter in the brain in order to strengthen the conduit abilities of this body, in order to sustain stronger transmutation abilities, which means that we have to look at the higher you go, the lower you go, which means the more aware you become, the more powerfully you have to hold space for really strong emotions, really strong emotions, really strong realizations, extremely difficult truths. That is a sign of your initiation. The initiation is the awareness that how much suffering can you withhold in the body, observe it in order to see its actual truth. That is your freedom. So the body has to prepare for that. because we need to sustain the body in meditation. We need to teach the body to regulate its nervous system. We need to teach the body a supportive system, psychologically, bioelectrically, biochemically. We have to support the body for this kind of healing. It's not just a one and done overnight kind of thing. This is an incremental healing and reconnection of the body. And that reconnection of these systems occurs by cultivating stillness in the body, which begins to program the body in a more sustainable structure of energy. Right now, if you are in a state of deep depression and pain, you are holding really heavy, dense emotions, and you are completely stagnant in your energetic body. Your root, your sacral, solar, everything moving very slow. Heart paralyzed, not even open. Okay, so what does it take is first of all the awareness that the healing mechanism in this body requires an awareness that you are a chakra vortex system. Your chakras are the ones that are processing all of the emotional data, and they are processing your perception. So we have to focus on the chakras. The chakras are outputting emotional data. We have to focus on the emotions. What are the strongest emotions that you have been feeling, that have been triggered and coming up, that you feel you cannot overcome, that you feel that you cannot accept in this world around you and inside you? This is where the powerful work of the alchemist is. The transmutation of transforming those strong emotions into everything is the key. To be able to see yourself as a participant of cause and effect, and to be able to accept yourself as that participant, is one of the keys to freedom. So biologically and mechanistically in the body, we want to grow gray matter, which is cultivated through meditation practices like Vipassana meditation and observation meditation. The simple practice of observation will develop gray matter in the brain. Silent, non-judgmental observation, completely still. It's extremely important that we bring the body and train the body to come into stillness, because the body is processing emotion, and when we have a lot of trauma, the body wants to move more. That's why people develop tics, people develop inability to sit down, ADHD. We cannot sustain stillness because there's a severe disconnect between the three dantians in the body. There's a severe disconnect between the higher self and the physical. So we have to compassionately, gently reconnect these by cultivating stillness, so that we can observe what are the things that are out of balance in this organism. And the beauty of that is that as we start to make that reconnection, we immediately begin to build trust in the self. Okay, so how do you build trust in yourself? How do you begin to train your intuition? This stillness. The stillness, the silent observation, develops intuition, because you can actually calm the nervous system and calm the emotional body. Your intuition is actually correct when it's not influenced by your emotions and your fears. Okay, what do I mean by that? That sometimes, because we don't really know ourselves very well, we have very, very deep subconscious programs of insecurity, doubt, fear, and those are feeding and tainting our perception. How can you see truth if this is your core subconscious programming? Okay, so that's why the training of your intuition is the cultivation of your emotional body. They are not separate. They cannot be separate. If you are a psychic, but you can't control your emotions, if you're a psychic and you have emotional mood swings and you're completely out of control with yourself, you can't possibly be seeing the highest truth because it's tainted by that. And your organism is processing these, or actually, the thing is, when someone goes into imbalanced emotions like that, it means that they're resisting the emotion. So they haven't taken the time to fully feel themselves and the emotion and witness the emotion through them, learn from that emotion. Emotions are for learning. Emotions are for, you know, finding your truth, finding your true authenticity. What's really happening to you. So these emotions tell us important information. And so to be able to sit with emotions enough to gather this important information and insights and growth and development, that is actually the real work, which as you continue to do that, you will less and less be storing severe emotions, storing limiting belief systems, blockages in your life. And that lightening of all that heaviness is actually the opening and the reintegration of your three dantians, and it's the reconnection with your higher self. The higher self is a frequency of energy, and it can only enter into the body if we create an environment for it, just the way illness thrives in an environment of sickness and suffering. The light, the consciousness, this source can only exist and thrive in an environment of harmony. Why? Because mechanistically, source, infinite potential is everything. And if you are a funnel that only holds very specific ideas and concepts, you cannot possibly be in alignment with everything. You're not. So we are actually learning how to broaden our perspective. That's what healing is to become whole. What does it mean to become whole in this universe? It means to become this spherical system, this interconnected energy system, conduit system of life force. Hold on, let me find my correct. Okay. We become all. We are, this toroidal field becomes whole. Your body is a sphere. You are a sphere of light that exists in multiple dimensions simultaneously. In this terrestrial dimension, your sphere of light has to be fully nourished, and we have to build the energetic structure of the body, which again is cultivated through harmony. Harmony energetically, harmony looks like this beautiful interconnected sphere made of a web of interconnected systems that becomes whole. That's what the word harmony looks like energetically. And so any part of you that wants to be split from one thing and another is at war with itself. So here in this model of becoming whole, you recognize yourself as the human body. Okay, so you have to accept your human body, all of its perfections, imperfections, flaws, good, bad, whatever these dualistic perceptions, you have to see them all and be able to accept them as a part of you, as an extension of you. And understand yourself as an extension of Earth, understand yourself as a participant in the solar system. Understand yourself as a cycling through archetypal identities. And once you begin to identify this, you begin to open up higher channels of consciousness in the 9th, 10th, in which we begin to enter into more unity consciousness. This is why in my meditations, I ask you to open up your higher chakras so that you can introduce unity to your body. Because if you are only operating from the 7th chakra down, you are still operating in duality. and you are still operating in a compartmentalized separation between yourself and other. So this reintegration of yourself, this realization of yourself as the all, is the letting go of identities, the letting go of separation, letting go of the self, which is too small. Because, and this is how you overcome the fear of death. This realization allows you to understand that you are not this body. You are way more than this body. You are energy first, and energy can never be destroyed. That is the law of physics that exists in this universe. It's the law of universes. Energy only transmutes, changes form, changes wave speed, changes frequency, changes color. That's all, and that is what you are. So this understanding, we have to integrate it and bring it into our everyday life, which is a challenge for a lot of people because we are so busy looking outside of ourselves, and we're so busy compartmentalizing ourselves in ways that are destructive and not completely true, number one, and are disconnected from the natural flows of life. Remember that the human that begins to see themselves as all of these systems is extremely in coherence with nature. Okay, so this human that sees themselves as this complex of consciousness begins to understand themselves in alignment, in harmony with nature. And you become less afraid of nature. You become connected to animals. You communicate with animals. You communicate with the stars. You have interdimensional experiences, all of which are a natural part of the human waking up. It's a natural next step. So we have to start understanding that it's part of the norm. People that are experiencers, people that are having, those are not one-off cases. This is the way the human works. When the human starts to align with nature, starts to embody themselves as a unity, harmonious organism, the entire universe opens up to you. The question is, have you cultivated an energetic structure in your body to be able to withstand the conduit requirements of being a universal organism? This is what is the invitation at this time, in order for us to enter into a more unity conscious self, unity conscious beings and organisms. So this concept of sustaining separation in our mind, body, and soul gently has to lovingly come into a unified perspective. So in your multidimensional body, as you heal yourself, your organism, as it comes more in alignment with these systems, illness cannot exist in a body that is existing in this 0 point state. It simply doesn't. Okay, it's just the way that it functions. And if you have a long sustaining illness or disease, the effects and the influence of that disease on your body will go from, let's say, affecting you in everyday life to the point of paralysis into a co-creative, interactive experience with the disease or the illness in a way that it's not affecting you from creating. You see, we also begin to clarify our purpose and what we're here to do, because all of the old ideas of what it means to have a purpose and to create are changing. If you have a paralyzing illness that you cannot move, that you're in a wheelchair, it doesn't limit you from your pure creation. It does not. That human can still create. And I know many beautiful humans that are paralyzed, actually, really paralyzed, that are the most amazing co-creators. Because they've understood that it's not about the physical vessel. It's about the reintegration of yourself as the all. So the point of this is to understand where we are holding on to identities of victimization, where we are holding on to programs that limit us, and where we are addicted to the comfort of our own suffering. Because suffering is a choice. So we have to lovingly help nurture and nourish the body energetically by cultivating that stillness in the body in order to sustain and be able to sustain the tremendous darkness that is within us, because there is darkness within us. If you are triggered by a serial killer outside of you, we have to notice what are the core belief systems that created that serial killer. What are the core belief systems? It's a perhaps a deeply abused person that absolutely believes that they have to do something to survive. Okay, and I'm simplifying, but you know, I've actually worked with people that have done crimes like that. And what do you find when you begin to excavate this core belief systems? You find a lot of wounding, a lot of pain, a lot of helplessness, a lot of loss of control. And we can see ourselves in this human with the choice of life that they have taken. We begin to recognize, I also have felt that way. I also have this belief system. That seed of the belief system exists in you. And we have to identify, you know, how is that affecting us? And this is another part of the healing that's very hard for people, that when you begin to find these little dark seeds inside of yourself that you see in the things that you judge outside of you, you are disgusted by them. You don't want them. You want to annihilate them, you know, rather than integrate them, which means understand them deeply, accept them, and choose differently. Because as long as we start to resist and run away from those little dark seeds inside of us, they grow. We actually feed them. The resistance to anything grows. It grows. It feeds. It expands. So again, when you are everything, you are nothing at the same time, because the amount of frequency that can run through a body that sees itself as everything is a much higher frequency vibrational rate. It's moving faster. Your body is spinning fast. Things move through you as a transduction, transmutational organism of life and death. You are constantly moving through creation and destruction in yourself, in a way that you are healing, regenerating, dying, rebirthing constantly. And that's a completely very powerful state of existence, which is different than the human that identifies and gets stuck with one frequency, one identity. So lovingly taking a look at these parts of us that have these little seeds of shadows and darkness have to be reintegrated. We have to be able to see at the bottom of those very, very profound disturbed parts are children, little children, or little egos that are harmed, that are surviving, that are, you know, crippled, that are, and you will see it in yourself. You have to take a look at those things. You can ask to be shown the state of your ego that believes that it needs to kill spiders, for example. Okay, what is that little ego look like? It looks like a, you know, shriveled up person that is disgusted or afraid or helpless. It has an anxiety. It has a fear. So how do you help that little part? What does that need in order to not exist in that way of thinking? You begin to provide it with that. The most important part of healing is not just the realization and the observation, it's how you support what you're discovering. So if you discover profound suffering and pain inside of you, What does it look like to not exist in that? So we have to really, really research that, because in the process of that research, you will learn about yourself, and this is the alchemical process. You now learn how to exist from a place of seeing something as something fearful. You now see it as something as a harmonious extension. You will even see the beauty in that thing that you once thought was ugly, like the spider example. Okay. And when you begin to look at it with these different eyes, your entire multidimensional body begins to heal. You change shape. The way that you're running energy in the body is moving, it's changing. You are not a static organism. So in today's meditation, I want to focus on, kind of identifying some of these limiting belief systems that you might be working with. And we're going to work on clearing them out of the body. Okay, so go ahead and get yourself into a nice meditative state, and we're going to jump right in. With every breath you take, as you allow yourself to come into a state of complete relaxation and calm, go ahead and allow yourself to come into absolute stillness. If you can, put your feet on the ground. Sit with your back straight. Breathing from the abdomen. Again, we're going to find our center. We're going to find our absolute stillness. Allow yourself to move the body into a state of complete surrender and stillness. We are not needing to control anything. We're not needing to resist anything. We're not needing to hold on to anything. You are in a state of safety exactly where you are. You need nothing in this moment. As you begin to direct your attention to your inhale and exhale, notice how the body incrementally relaxes deeper and deeper. And that awareness will also show you how contracted you have been, perhaps all day today. You might not even realize how much tension you're holding in your body until you start relaxing. You might not realize in how much resistance you are to your environment until you start relaxing your body. Breathing deeply. Begin to take your attention out to your field. Take a look at the health of your sphere. If your sphere is torn open, go ahead and begin to repair those tears in the field. Until you feel yourself fully at the center of the sphere, and the sphere is solid and complete all around you, above you, below you, to the front, to the side, to the back, to the front. you can absolutely see every single portion of the sphere that surrounds you. Go ahead and visualize a cord of energy that connects your body down to the center of the earth and anchors you with the frequency of the earth. Make your grounding cord wide and strong. Covering your shoulders, your waist, your hips, your pelvic bone, all the way down to the center of the earth. Go ahead and focus on the root chakra at the base of the spine, shrinking the chakra down to the size of a dime. Going up into the sacral, going up into the solar, going up into the heart, expanding your heart chakra as wide as possible. Going up into the throat and the third eye. And when we talk about expanding the heart, we're not expanding it incredibly large out of control. You're going to open it just about maybe 5 or 6 feet around you maximum, and incrementally your throat and your third eye is larger. Okay. When you open the heart too big, it begins to pool like a magnetic field, and we don't need to have that interference when you're in your healing. Okay. Go ahead and go up into your third eye, expanding. Right now, what we do want is we want to expand the intuition so that we can see clearly. Go up into your crown. You're going to expand your crown. Fill it in with your creative color. Into the areas of abundance, career, family, friends, relationships, love, sexual energy, creative energy, health and healing, spiritual evolution, money, and purpose. Fill it in. Go up into your eighth, expanding the eighth, your relationship with source. Fill it in with your creative color. From source, go ahead and visualize a powerful healing energy coming up into the body, absorbing into the base of the feet, up into the shins, the calves, the thighs, into the solar plexus, creating a vortex of energy. It can be any color that's healing for you. From source, go ahead and pull down a powerful wave of cosmic energy, comes down in through the crown of your head, down your spine, combining with this green earth energy. You're going to take 10% of that and send it back down to the center of the earth. You take 80% of that, send it up your crown, creating a fountain, coating the outside of your bubble. You're going to take that final 10%, bring it into the body now, absorbing into the pores, the flesh, the muscles, the bones, down to the cellular level. Go ahead and notice your field. Notice the blockages that are in your body at this time and begin to dissolve them using your crown. Remember that you are eliminating down to the center of the earth or from the crown channel out back into source. The intention of the transmutation is that everything is returning to source. Everything is becoming source again. Everything is turning into love. And the more you release from the body, the more expanded you feel, the more grounded you feel, the more stable you feel, the more calm, centered. And just allow yourself to sit in this stillness for a moment as you begin to practice and train your body to develop gray matter with this stillness, with this observation, which will allow you to see truth more clearly. Go ahead and shine your crown chakra on top of all of your karmic contracts. You're going to see them in the size of a football field or stadium or house, whatever your karmic contract home looks like. Begin to dissolve the contracts that are not in alignment with you, utilizing your crown. Go ahead and break the karma sticks. Release the cords around your body that you begin to observe to people, places, and things that are no longer in alignment with you. You're going to call back your life force into your body. And you're going to let go of anything that does not serve you. Begin to observe the emotion that has triggered you the most over the past 24 hours. Find it in your body. Come into absolute stillness and observe that emotion and sensation in your body. And begin to name out the emotions. As you gently release the layers of emotions, you will receive a lot of insights. Allow yourself to fill these parts of you that you identify from suffering with everything that they require to be whole again. And gently infuse these parts of you with what is needed to be able to sustain this neutral observer from a place of absolute truth, harmony, non-judgmental observation. Go ahead and clear your 7 bodies. Go ahead and focus on opening the root chakra back into a balanced state. The sacral, the solar, the heart. Can you close it a little bit? The throat, the third eye. You're going to go up into your crown, illuminating your creative color. Go ahead and activate the 8th and the 9th. Activate the 10th, the 11th, the 12th, the 13th, the 14th, the 15th, the 16th. And above you is a powerful white light of source. Go ahead and anchor that source into your body. And the more that you've released during this session, the more it'll be easier for you to bring that column of white light into your body, which then expands into your field completely. Very good. Go ahead and allow yourself to open your eyes and come back into the room. You did amazing. I want to thank you so much for joining me today. It was such an honor to share this conversation, this session with you. And I really look forward to seeing you tomorrow. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and put them in the chat. As always, I look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Julie, Apoka, Liza, mothers holding hands across the world. Thank you so much for being here, Barna. Thank you, Marilena, Darina. Thank you. Thank you so much, Liza. Thank you so much, Lisa. Thank you, V. Thank you, guys. Love you, Pamela, Roman. Thank you. All my love. See you soon. And thank you for your super chats, guys. Again, you guys are amazing. Thank you. Love you.